a bad investment is still better than a smart spend. So wealthy people don't spend money day.
Whatever success I had came more from my knowing how to deal with my not knowing than from anything I knew.
Don't pursue entrepreneurship out of greed of money. You will fail for sure.
If you want to make more money, you need to learn the habits of the rich. That's why in this video, I put together some of the top entrepreneurs to teach you how to start making more money today. This video is presented by Zoom. You'll hear more about them later in this video. So make sure to subscribe to this channel, drop a like, and comment below your biggest takeaways. What would you say are the three biggest habits that you've developed over time? Maybe you didn't have early on, but you develop over time, and maybe always telling the truth is one of them that has made you so successful, the three biggest habits that you apply.
Well, you know, I've learned a lot from the CEOs I've invested in over the years, and there was a woman a few years ago, it's more, probably 10 years ago now, and she said to me something really interesting. I asked her why she was so successful, because she was. She said, I do something very ordinary and almost boring, but I do it every day. She takes a sticky note and she writes 3 things she has to get done before she texts, answers any calls, or does anything else. Just 3 things. And she sticks it on the mirror where she puts her makeup on. And she really, it doesn't have to be business things. It can be whatever it is that are deemed to be important to get done the next day. Maybe it's something that's a holdover from the day before, because I've been doing this now for years, and it's really effective. This isn't tech. You're not putting it in your phone. It's not a software program. It's a piece of paper with, and you have it, you know, right when you're going to bed, brushing your teeth, whatever, you write those 3 things down, you stick it on the mirror. I do it every night. And then I am myopically focused to get those 3 things done. I don't do anything
Before you
else.
text, before you check your email.
Before I do anything else, I nail those 3 things. You cannot believe how productive you get when that happens, because you don't let the distractions of all the other crap that's happening around you. I just don't do it until I get the 3 things done. And it's incredibly powerful. I tell people to try it. Most people who try it get stuck on it and they stick with it. It's really, because in life there's so much noise coming at you, and every year more noise and all kinds of different distractions. And you always say to yourself, well, I can multitask. But you deemed that thing to be very important and you ignored it. Now it's 3 in the afternoon, you're exhausted, or you're busy with other stuff and you say, oh shit, I didn't get that done. And it's, whatever the effects, the domino effects are, they're gonna hurt you. And that's why I tell people, try it out. It's a really great tool.
Okay, that's number 1. What's the second big habit?
Okay, so this one's a little funky chicken. It comes with a story, okay? When I was, you know, I wanted to be a photographer or a musician, a rock star. When I was, you know, when I got out of high school, and my stepdad said to me, you're not good enough at either of those, you'll starve to death. If I were you, I would go get any kind of a degree and focus on business, which is what I did. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I learned some stuff. And I ended up going into postgraduate. I got an MBA, which was, at that time, was a 2-year program, which, you know, we can talk about the merits of that or not, because I've come to realize what it was worth and what it wasn't worth. But anyways, I remember on the last week, the graduating class, and in those, it's sort of like an amphitheater with about 100 people in it, and you've been there for 2 years, you got your little nameplate in front, and they bring in guest lecturers to talk to you before you jump into the real world. And this guy comes in, and he says, I'll never forget it. He walks up, the professor hands him the floor, and he just goes in the middle and just looks up at everybody. For maybe like, it felt like forever, but it was really maybe 60 seconds. Didn't say a word. And the whole room, like you could have heard a pin drop. I'll never forget it. And then he says, you guys think you're so hot. You think that you've come here and you've got an MBA and you're going to go out in the world and you're going to rock and you're going to be incredibly successful. I've got news for you. For 2/3 of you, the world is going to chew you up and spit you out. You have no idea what's going to happen to you. You are so irrelevant. You have proven nothing. You've done nothing. You think an MBA means something? It's worthless. And for many people, they can't make it. It doesn't work out for them. They don't have what it takes to take on the abuse that the world's going to throw at you. And just to give you full circle in a kumbaya, you know, circle of life, Lion King kind of moment, I got caught saying the same thing a couple of months ago at the Harvard MBA group. I realized I was saying the same thing that guy said to me decades ago. I said to these kids, you're all think you're hot. Your Harvard MBAs, you are nothing burgers. You are nothing. And so there you have it. What he really explained was the idea of experience and how you have to listen to your gut to navigate the bombs of your career. And you have to trust it. You have to trust your gut. Every time I've lost dough, every time, and I've lost plenty, luckily I've had more successes than failures, is when I didn't listen to my gut, which is my experience. And I should have, and he was right. He was absolutely right. It was great information, but I couldn't assimilate it because I couldn't put it in context. Now I understand it. So number 2 is you need to build that experience and all the way through, listen to your gut. Even when you're young, your gut will tell you. You'll know when it's right and wrong. And don't go against your intuition. That is actually your radar. That's your DNA speaking to you, figuring out what the next move's going to be.
That's a powerful story. Yeah. Did they say the same thing to you in the back of the room and say, what an asshole this guy is when you gave him the speech at Harvard?
Yeah, it's Matt Higgins, who was a Get
Yeah,
Sharp.
I know Matt very well, yeah.
Yeah, so Matt, he emailed me the next day and said, hey, Kevin, I got to tell you, you're a shit disturber. I mean, you know, but much of the class really enjoyed it, but what he was really saying is you pissed a few people off.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know Higgins pretty well. We're good friends. And so, you know, he's really savvy at what he does. We wanted to talk about direct-to-consumer branding. And that's what we were doing in that lesson. It was 2 hours. It was great. I'd work with that guy anytime. He's terrific.
Yeah, great guy. And great content on LinkedIn he has. He's always sharing that content with me there. And the third habit that makes you very successful?
Well, you know, it's you have to make time in your life for your significant other and your family. And it's very hard to do. It's extremely hard to do because this is really speaking more to the entrepreneurial community out there, which is basically a third of people. 1/3 will attempt to take the entrepreneurial journey. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And the challenges of that are very, very difficult, particularly when you're starting out. And I learned this the hard way. And again, I'm going to go to a story of a class that I taught years ago, an evening class. This really sums it up. It tells you how important this is. 3-hour class, 6 to 9. We're almost closing. You know how 10 minutes left. This guy hadn't said a word the whole class. And he finally puts up his hand and he says, listen, Mr. Wonderful, I have a question for you. It's not about the case. This is a case we're doing. I need some advice. I said, okay, you know, you really haven't participated at all. I was kind of a little condescending because I know you kind of know who's engaged in the class, even though it was a huge cohort. I think it was something like 300, 400. I can't remember. It was a lot of people. Anyways, he said, I'm graduating this year. I'm an engineer, and I've developed a cloud-based software enterprise system that helps hedge funds with less than $250 million be compliant. And you know, it's very difficult to stay compliant when you're small. These are 2 and 20 hedge funds. And it was a subscription service. So these guys could use it on a cloud basis. And he had written this code while he was graduating in engineering.
Wow. And
his run rate was $5 million a year in subscriptions. I mean, that is like, and I said, I don't hear a problem here. I hear something incredible going on. This is amazing. And he said, well, here's the problem. My fiancée came to me this morning, and I'm really disturbed. She said, I have to make a choice. She can't live with me anymore. I never attend any of her family's picnics. I never see anybody on weekends. I'm either studying or I'm working on the code. That's all I can do. And I asked her to come over and sleep with me when she can, and we can be together. But I'm just buried in this. And I need to do both. I need to get my graduation in engineering, and I need to keep my customers happy because this is my business. Now, he said, what do I do? Room's like, this is getting interesting, right? I mean, I said, okay. which one is easier to replace? Your business or your fiancé? And that was probably not the right thing to say at the time, but that's what I was thinking in my head, and I think everybody else was too. This guy's phenomenally successful, clearly has gotten engaged to the wrong person that can't take that journey with him. Most likely outcome is divorce after they marry, because he's going to work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, because he's got a business, he's an entrepreneur. My point is, one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in your life between success and failure as a person is finding that right partner. That, I don't care, who that is. If you're going to take that route, they have to be in sync with who you are. You can't contort yourself to something else. And I think that a lot of people in their 20s really should think this through, because now I told you I'm in the wedding industry. I've got a lot of companies, and I've learned a lot about marriages. The reason marriages fail is not because of infidelity. Any marriage can survive that. I talked about it earlier. But why they fail, why the union breaks up 50% of the time within 5 years, is financial stress. One outspends the other. They're not in sync together. They don't share each other's goals. That's the hardest time in your life. In your 20s, maybe you start a family, whatever you're going to do. The point is, picking that partner is the third thing you either do right or you do wrong. Divorce is incredibly stressful. Many people try it 3-4 times. They're not in sync with their partner. I'm just, this is kind of like a little Dr. Philish in some ways, but I'm telling you, with the CEOs I work with and all the investors I work with, I see stress in people when their relationships are falling apart. And it's devastating. So there's a story, those are the three things I care about in giving guidance. And I think everybody knows what I'm talking about and should think about these.
Hey guys, I wanted to quickly take a moment and connect with you on more of a personal level. Over the past year, my entire business has shifted to using Zoom in every way possible. We've hired lots of new employees using Zoom. We do our interviews with our big guests using Zoom who can't be in studios. We do live webinars, online events, all using Zoom. We've even started using Zoom Phone to build out our recruiting process and connect with our international members of the Greatness Coaching Program. Zoom phone calls make it so easy to quickly call each other no matter where we are or what we're doing. And I want you to start using Zoom as well. You can click the link in the description or go to zoom.us/greatness for 30% off an unlimited calling plan for an entire year. Make sure to check it out below or go to that link. And now let's get back to the video.
What questions should partners be asking each other before they get married around money? How honest should they be? And what if they have a massive disconnect around money, but they have this intimacy and connection and love? Should they, just break up before the wedding? Or what do you think would be the right move to make?
So I have given a lot of guidance in this space. In fact, I've written 3 books about it called Men, Women, and Money, Men, Women, and Children. It's all kinds of advice about family. But here's how the journey works. You meet somebody. It's a great first date. You have a second date. It's even better. Okay? By the time you're having your third date, the only reason you're having your third date is both of you are very interested in each other. Mm-hmm. And that is the time to start talking about the future. I know that sounds corny.
The third date.
I understand it. Third date, if you're just hooking up for hooking up, I get it. You don't have to worry about this. But if you're actually stopping seeing anybody else and you're on your third date with somebody you've met and they've done the same thing and you're being honest with each other, something's going on, okay? Now it's time to start doing a little due diligence, because this is going to get serious. By the 4th date, and you're not seeing anybody else and you're talking about, doing whatever you're going to do together, it's a big deal. And you have to understand a little bit about where their heads are at. Number 1 is, talk about family. Do you want to have one? I mean, it's a question. Some people don't. You got to know that up front. You make a decision about it. Or can you have one? It's a discussion you got to have. Tough discussion. Again, staying honest. Number 2, what are your goals? How do you see yourself in 10 years? Are you at home? Are you working? Or would you be raising kids? I know this sounds corny, but believe me, women want that question and men want it too. If you're on your fourth date, they're dying to get into this because they're starting to really invest their time in what they think they're going to be. Anybody in your family bankrupt? Tough question.
Ooh.
Tough question. Have you ever been bankrupt? Then you ask, how much debt do you have on your credit card? Tough question.
Ooh.
Do you pay off your credit card every month?
Oh my
And then they say,
gosh.
why are you asking me that? And if they say, why are you asking me this question? You say, why can't you answer that?
Ooh. What makes you feel uncomfortable about this question? Yeah.
Well, what I really worry that the reason, you've got to be in sync with here's the thing about marriage, about getting together, whether you get married or not, or whoever your significant other is. If those are aligned, if you have an understanding of each other that is in sync, that union could last 50 years. Because after the euphoria is over with, you're in business with each other. You have to build a financial pillar to support growing old together, or raising a family, or buying a house, or doing whatever you're going to do. And you need to be in sync on that stuff.
3 skills you think every entrepreneur should develop, whether they're about to launch a business or they're in the process of building their business. What do you think are 3 powerful skills that we should all develop?
You have to have an alternative endeavor in the arts. If you're focused on business, what is it? Do you draw? Do you play music? Do you listen to music? Do you cook? Do you paint? Do you do photography? What is it that you do that gets the yin and the yang working together? That's a concept in Korea of yin and yang, and it's very important in business. The greatest entrepreneurs are often very good artists in one discipline or another, and they spend enough time to hone that talent. So I always play guitar every night. I'm not the best guitarist, but I get better all the time, and I'm good enough to record stuff that people listen to and seem to like. So I like that. It took me a long time to get there. But the same thing with whatever that discipline is. And I think that's number 1. Number 2, you have to get your 3 things on the mirror every morning. I think that really works. Otherwise, you're not disciplined, you're not organized. And number 3, and I've said this a million times, you got to tell the truth, which is very hard to do. People say they do, but they don't. Very few people, very few people tell the truth.
You're the king at this. And, one of the things I love about telling the truth is that you build confidence with yourself. When you're lying, or even a white lie, you lack the confidence because you're out of integrity with yourself. And you're obviously the king of telling the truth, especially on Shark Tank. You do it in a very specific, deliberate way where you always tell the facts on how you feel about the facts of things or how things will work out. How can someone communicate in a way where they're telling the truth and telling the facts and being honest, but also caring for someone's feelings, as you might put kumbayaing it, like Barbara might do? How can someone do both? Or is it not possible? Should you just say the facts and not care about someone's feelings?
It's not possible. It just isn't. You can try and sugarcoat it, but if the more you do and you leave hope where there is none, that's a huge mistake, particularly when it comes to matters of finance. It's very binary. There's nothing between losing and making money. It's just the abyss. You either make money or you lose it. You have to decide which, you got to tell the truth. And I think, there's a lot of angst that goes into people trying to, you just can't serve both masters. You have to choose one, and I prefer the truth. And, you can try and say, well, I'm telling the truth in a sugar-coated way, but you're not. You're just lying to them, that's all. That's it.
Was there any investments you passed on that you, in your gut, was like, this is not going to work out? This is a horrible idea. It won't work out. But then years later, it ended up being a big success.
There always are, but I don't even think about them. I mean, I see so many deals now. My deal flow is insane. I see so much stuff inside of Shark Tank and outside of it that, it's there. I just look forward. I don't look backwards.
Yeah.
I don't care. I might have missed one. I might have, I've had another successful one. My portfolio, we review it weekly. We talk to our entrepreneurs. I have winners, I have losers, but I also have some fantastic successes and catastrophic failures. It's a passion play. I have people calling me every day, crying, saying we're going to go out of business, and I have other people saying, I can't believe it. Somebody just offered us 20 times sales in cash. Are you a seller? I mean, I get the same call in the same day.
Wow.
So, that's the nature of being diverse as an investor, but also to realize that outcomes are unknown. You don't control it. You have to just understand that there's some things out of your control and you have to deal with them. And if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. But, and I also, and I, we talked about it earlier, I can't make everybody happy, so I don't try. I really don't. And I don't worry about it. I don't spend a single second, worrying about that because I can't do it. It's not possible. The most miserable people on earth are the ones trying to make everybody else happy.
That's so true. That's a good line right there.
A bad investment is still better than a smart spend. So wealthy people don't spend money, they invest money. Number two, they also know that money is not required. I think a lot of us, if we grew up poor, we believe it takes money to make money. Our parents told us that. Maybe a grandparent or the neighbor or somebody said that to us because that was how they justified not having their breakthrough and getting trapped. They're like, the reason I didn't get out. And we know everybody's got an excuse in their lifetime. Everybody uses them at some point in their lifetime to trap themselves. This idea that it takes money to make money is not true. It's a myth. It's the number one reason why I did the show, the Discovery Show, to debunk that on TV, that I didn't need any money at all. They offered me $100. I'm like, just keep it, dude. Like, no, we got to give it to you. It's part of the show. And I'm like, I don't need the 100. They're like, no, but you got to take the 100. It's part of the show. So the third thing I would say about wealthy people is different people have different ways they invest, but they tend to be more focused on the long-term appreciation of an asset rather than give me money this second. And I think they're not stuck in this get rich quick thing.
It's a delayed gratification.
Yeah, they're more like, I'd rather have wealth tomorrow than rich today. And they do have a distinction between the rich and the wealthy. The super wealthy are looking to create wealth beyond their own means and needs. Like, they're not thinking about their kids, their boat, their plane. I know people think that, but that's not actually true. They're actually thinking about, how do I create wealth for a lot of people? Amazon's got 1 million employees. Now, most of them only earn minimum wage, but there's some people at the upper level of Amazon that are making fortunes.
Yeah, and I'm curious, you wanted to debunk this myth of that it takes money to make money, which is something I heard a lot growing up, and a lot of people think, well, unless I can't make it because I can't invest it until I have it. So what were the lessons you learned, starting from essentially zero, having no money, no contacts, no relationships, no opportunities in a town that you went to for this show? What did you realize were the keys to actually making money, even if you didn't have any?
Well, as you see the show, you see that I actually never make any money, right? So the two girls, they actually they follow 3 of us, and the 2 girls went out and got a job in the first week. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, or my way's better or worse, but they are strategies. Okay, they're different strategies. I was not there to get a job or to earn money. I was there looking for one thing: opportunity. I never spent time looking for money ever, the entire 90 days. Okay, I'm not looking for money. I was actually looking for contracts through the contacts. I wasn't looking for money because I knew the evaluation of the company in the last segment. An evaluator will come in and determine what my company's worth, my new company, right, that I created. And at that point, I just need to validate to him, dude, my company's worth this based on that. The entire 90 days, I never touched the first 100 they gave me. And this was to prove to people, dude, you do not need money. Like, it's not true you need money. You do need contacts.
You need people. You need relationships.
You need people. You need the right people, though. The right people that are already in play. Okay? Just because a guy's got money. I remember a billionaire friend of mine, he could buy a jet. And I said, hey, Bob, should I buy a jet? He said, you should, I shouldn't. Meaning, Grant should, and he's way wealthier than I am. He could have bought 40 of them. He's like, I don't have a place to go in mine. You could use yours every day. So you got to find somebody that's in place, somebody that not just has money, but somebody that wants to do more with their money. So you'll notice in the first 10 days, I don't spend any money. I don't spend money on shelter, not on food, and not on water. Nothing. Then what I do is I end up accumulating assets. And it's unfortunate that the viewer doesn't see this. Within 5 days, I have 2 vehicles. One was given to me by Discovery, and the other one was a $40,000 Jeep that I basically used from Ryan, this guy I met, and told him, I'm going to sell your Jeep. I'm going to drive it around town and put 10 miles a day on it, and I'm going to sell it. Well, that's a $43,000 asset. My truck was worth $4,000. I still had my $100. I lived in a $46,000 RV that I was trying to sell. So,
Yeah.
What's the other thing I did? And I picked up $10,000 to do in a 15% partnership in the equity of the upside of this guy's company. So literally in 10 days, I was accumulating contacts that could get me equity. And the important part of that story is, man, go get you some equity. You know, Jay-Z talks about this. You're getting, you know, so many of you young brothers are getting an advance while I'm picking up the equity.
Ooh, yeah, they're trying to get the get rich quick. Let me give you the money now.
Give it to me now.
Where the publisher's getting long-term residual income for decades off of your
Kevin Hart. Look
work.
at what Kevin Hart did with this show, right? He owns that show. He owns the ticket sales. He was willing to promote it, not just be a comedian. Where Richard Pryor showed up and got his check, told his jokes. Kevin Hart says, "Yeah, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna tell my jokes, but I'm gonna own the entire platform, the equity."
So how do you get someone to give you $10,000 when you have nothing to give them in return? Or what is it that you're selling them, a greater promise in return?
So what I did was I pitched this guy. I said, "Look, he's a business owner. He wants traffic in his company. Every business owner wants traffic. Every entrepreneur wants traffic to their website." And I said, "Look, I'm gonna drive traffic to your store." He owned a mattress store, big margins. And I said, I'm gonna make sure you have the biggest weekend that you've ever been here. And I said, if you give me $6,000, I'll take the $6,000 to the store. In fact, you don't give me the money, just call it in and approve it. I didn't want to touch his money. I never asked anybody for any money. And I said, I'm gonna go run a promotion for you. I'm gonna put together the banners, the logos. I'm going to stand out in the street. I'm going to drive the traffic to your place. What do you want, Lewis? What do you want, Lewis? I did that more than once, by the way. What do you want, Lewis?
You did?
Because my name was Lewis, right?
Yeah.
And I said, dude, I don't want anything. He tried to give me money to do this. I don't want your money. I just want the opportunity. I want to prove myself. Because what I really wanted from him was I wanted him to front the bill at the print shop so that he could put me in play. Well, I went and ran the whole promotion that weekend. I said, if you send them, if you just authorize the spend, I'll conduct the promo. I'll run it and do it. We did $91,000 worth of mattress sales. We did $15,000 that weekend and then another $65,000 over the next 3 weeks. And he's like, dude, you're a star. Now he's like, hey, what do you want for what you did for me this weekend? That was the best weekend we've ever had. And I'm like, I don't want anything except to be your partner.
So you wanted equity?
I want to be your partner, dude. And I said, I want 15% of the upside of your company. I said, what's fair? He's like, 15%. Everything above what I'm doing now, I'll give you 15%. He's the one that made the offer. I said, that's awesome.
Wow.
And then that's when I said, hey, can you give me an advance of $10,000 on the 15%? People think that I asked for $10,000. I actually didn't get $10,000. I got an advance on a partnership, which is even better.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you never asked for money. You said, give me equity with everything.
Give me equity. And then once I got the equity agreement on the upside, most people are willing to give you this.
Because it's more than they've already made. They're already making a certain amount. They've never crossed past that probably in years. So they're like, okay, if you can help me 10x it, I'll give you 15%.
I don't want a piece of what you're already doing. That's not fair. That's an unfair deal. I mean, you know, people are like, I need to ask for more. Yeah, but you don't want to ask and look stupid. Like you can't ask somebody to give you something of a company they already have. Also, it's interesting because they didn't show this, and I look forward to kind of breaking this thing down. I'm going to create a whole platform where I go in and break the show up and show people what they didn't see. When I left Vegas to fly to Pueblo, the production company said, hey, what's your first move? First move, I'm going to the bank to drop off the 100. Second thing, I'm going to the gym to meet people. Third thing is I'm going to find a business for sale, and I'm going to see if the guy that owns the company can give me a place to sleep. Those three things happened exactly the way I predicted before I got to Pueblo, before I even knew I was going to Pueblo. I mean, it happened, just every one of them. And then Discovery came to me at 4 days and said, bro, you got to slow down. I said, what do you mean? We don't have a TV show if you keep winning.
Right. If you make it happen in 2 weeks, what are we going to do?
I'm like, okay, come out here and watch me throw up. Okay, come out here and watch. I'm sick. I was sick from altitude sickness. I'm like, what you guys got to cover how hard this is for me. I'm terrified. I'm cold. My back hurts. I don't have a good place to sleep. I'm pissing in a bottle. And then they cut all that out of the show. So the point of that story is quit going for some dead Benjamins and start getting you some equity. Okay, $100 bills are dead. They're from the past. Equity is the future. And you're better off with a future, if you believe in yourself, than you are with a dead Benjamin.
What are some things people should be looking for in terms of the right people or the right products or companies to say, okay, and how to position and package themselves to make a partnership equity deal? What should they be looking for, and how can they position and package the way you did?
Yeah, so like in Pueblo, there's 112,000 people that live there. The average household income there is $24,000 a year. Household income. Like it's one of the most beat up, economically beat up cities in America. They were at 8% unemployment when the country was at 3%. When COVID hit, it went to 22%.
Wow.
Like just ridiculous, right? So now when I'm in a problem environment like that, you have to do the math. So I'm like, okay, there's 112,000 people there. I can't meet them all, and I don't want to meet them all. I only have 90 days. So then I said, okay, who's got the money in this town? The businesses have the money in the town. This is the unfair advantage I have in this show, is that I did not go there to start a new business. I went there to find a business that was already banking. A lot of people think
Did you have that intention before?
Oh, 100%. I said, there's no way I'm going to start a new business. There's 34 million businesses in America. America does not need a new business.
And it's so hard to launch and create momentum, especially if you don't, even with your audience, it's hard to launch a new business.
It is so ridiculous. It is so stupid what people are doing today. I'm going to start a new beauty salon. I'm going to start a new masseuse place. I'm going to start a new cosmetologist house. I'm going to start you got a new idea. Nobody needs it. Like, if you were an alien looking down at the United States of America and saying, okay, what is there too much of? Restaurants, bars, and businesses. There's too many of them. And then some kid pops up, Paul pops up and says, I'm going to start a new business. And the guy from outside the planet's looking down there saying, well, that's stupid. Why don't you just go 2/3 of all the businesses in America break even or lose money?
So what I'm hearing you say, Grant, is a lot of people have the dream of wanting to start and launch a business. But what I'm hearing you say is it's probably a lot smarter to go find a failing business or a business that's breaking even, jump in, add value, and see if you can 10x that.
Dude, that's how you get on planes. That's how you go to the hospital. You need emergency care. You don't build a hospital. You just go to the hospital. You want food, you go to Whole Foods. You want gas, you go to the gas station. It's no different in business. It's called a going concern for a reason. Find a going concern that's got a brand, go in. That's what I did. I just went in and added value. Once I added value, actually, we end up splitting off another business out of that. So out of that relationship, your first question was, hey, who are you looking for? I'm looking for contacts that can actually become contracts. I'm looking for specific relationships. They have to have money. They have to have credibility. They have to have credit lines. That's the only people I was looking for in Pueblo. Out of 112,000 people, are there 50 of them? I need to meet 50 people that have money, credit, and credibility.
How did you feel? Because I saw in the first episode that you got rejected a few times. How did you feel from someone who is getting yeses a lot and building their business so fast to go into a place where people just say, nah, I don't believe in you, or you don't seem credible? Or how did you take it security-wise internally?
Well, pieces you don't hear is I was in this meeting and this guy starts flexing on me. And he literally, I had to sit there and listen to his well, I raised $30 million and I bought all this and I put this together and I'm the king and la, la, la. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, dude, I'd like to just drop, you want to see a flex right now? You know, the same day I had written a check for like $45 million and I'm having to bite my tongue. Like, he doesn't know I could be his investor. By the way, there was a great lesson in that. Like, I was nobody. Shaved head, old truck, no name, no social media following. And this guy treated me just like that. Like I'm a nobody.
And you never know who you're talking to or who they're friends with or who their family is that could support you potentially.
Totally. Like the same day this guy's flexing on me about how he raised 30 million and he's the king of Pueblo and blah, blah, blah. I mean, like what I had in my checking account that day as Grant Cardone, I just wanted to pop it out on him. Like, shut up, dog. Treat everybody like you never know who you're dealing with. You know, and just because they're having a bad day, one, you don't know who you're dealing with, and number two, more importantly, you don't know who they're going to become.
Yeah, they may not have money yet, but in 10 years, they might have a brand or audience or something that could support you.
Every accredited investor was a non-accredited investor at one time. Every whale was a minnow.
I mean, you've been doing sales for, 4 decades now? You've been selling from cars to real estate to everything in between, 11 best-selling books. You've been a selling machine. How did it feel to go in without being able to use any of that and go back to kind of the basics of like, okay, I'm a brand new car salesman just trying to figure out how to do this thing. How did you have the confidence or the courage to go in blind and try to build these relationships?
Because I had the commitment. I was committed to the outcome. I always say, man, commitment comes with time and money.
The thing that you do extremely well is you're a master enroller, Grant. And I believe that we're either enrolling people in our vision or we're unenrolling them in our vision every moment, every day with our content, our posts, our interactions. And we could be unenrolling people in our brand from one conversation or one thing that we do to piss someone off. Where did you learn the skill of enrollment, of getting people to buy into you and your vision? I
think what I do is, and I talk about this in Sell or Be Sold. I've been a sales guy for a long time, and I just learned early on, and I was terrible at sales. 17 years old, 18, 19, part-time sales guy, I was awful. When I finally realized that sales was the only job I could get at 25 years old, I'm just like, dude, I just got to tell people the truth because I can't do all these tricks. The NLP, right. And look, if it works for you, good, whatever, but the mirroring, the matching, they ask a question, you ask a question, the hot potato. I've heard all these strategies. And I'm like, dude, I just can't do it. I'm just going to be me. Hey, guys, I'm moving from LA. I'm out of work. I'm looking for opportunity. I'm trying to move my family here. My name's Lewis Curtis. 2008 beat me up. I got to get my family out of LA. Real estate's impossible. I can't buy it there. It's priced out of the market. And I'm here in Pueblo because I think there's opportunity here. And that's all I'm looking for. No handouts, no help. I got an old truck with me. I got no money. I left my kids with. You got to have your story. So people enroll, but you also have to be talking to the right audience. I only spent time with people that were able, capable, qualified. I spent no time. I was in a meeting once in Pueblo. I walked into the meeting, assessed the situation, and bounced. I said, guys, I'm done. I'm out of here. Boom, and I walked out. And my partner at that time, you'll see it later in the later shows, he's like, what just happened? I'm like, there's nothing here, bro.
There's no money here.
There's no opportunity here. And I'm on a clock. I couldn't tell him I'm on a clock. I couldn't tell anybody. So I had these little secrets going on. So, how do you enroll people? It's like, you got to get enrolled. My personal integrity and ethics is why I can sell so hard. And because I believe in my product, I believe in my investment vehicle, I believe in my company. I don't trick people, screw people. Like 35 years I've been in business, there's not one person in 35 years that says I owe them money. There's people that try to get stuff from me using lawyers and bullshit, but there's nobody that can say I ever financially damaged them in any way, not a penny. And so that allows me to go back into the world and push.
I started my business in 1975, investing. And it's easy to be wrong in investing. That's part of the game. But in 1980, 81, I calculated that American banks had lent a lot more money to countries than those countries were going to be able to pay back, and that they would therefore have a big debt default, and that would cause an economic crisis. And it got a lot of attention because it was a controversial view. And then in Mexico defaulted in August 1982. So that prediction sort of, came right, and some countries did. And I got a lot more attention because of that was right. And I thought we were going to go into an economic spiral, a depression, a big debt crisis. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And I was exact. That was the exact bottom in the stock market.
Yeah.
And I lost money. I lost money for myself. I lost money for my clients. I had to let everybody in my company go. And I was so broke, I had to borrow $4,000 from my dad to help pay some of my family bills. So, I mean, it was a lot of pain.
This was 82?
Yeah.
So you were broke then, 82.
Broke. Totally
No
broke.
money.
No money. No
Wow.
money. And that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It was very painful, but it was one of the best things because it gave me the fear of being wrong without me losing my audacity. In other words, it gave me an open-mindedness. It made me start to think, how do I deal with what I don't know? So it made me find the smartest people I could find who disagreed with me to start to understand their thinking. It made me think about how I could maintain that upside. Risk goes with return. So I didn't want to have an ordinary life. So I still wanted the big upside return, but how could I do that without less risk?
Downside.
That's right. And so that was a problem. That was part of my reflection. And that reflection led me to understand how I could diversify better, how I could stress test my thinking better, and so on. Then I brought in the smartest people I could find who were independent thinkers who would disagree with me. And then I did that. And that was the exact bottom financially and so on in my life. From that point up to, not long ago, Fortune described Bridgewater as the 5th most important private company in the country, in the US. And so it was that pain and reflecting well on that pain that gave me a greater ability to deal with what I don't know. And I learned, this is an important thing to learn, that whatever success I had came more from my knowing how to deal with my not knowing than from anything I knew. In other words, what you know in your head is only a small percentage of what the important things and the right things to know is. And so to be able to go outside of one's head and to take in the best of the best of the best, wherever it comes, and then use that to make decisions. And all of that came from that painful, very painful mistake.
Where do you think you'd be today if in 82 you didn't go broke and have that massive pain?
I'm sure I'd have, a very ordinary, I don't know, life. I don't know, because I wouldn't have known how to have great upside while having acceptable risks, right? In other words, like I at the time I reflected it, I felt it was like the following. I'm on one side of a jungle, and I'm on this one side of a jungle, and you could go in order to imagine you could have great success if you can cross the jungle alive to get to the other side. But in the jungle are all sorts of terrible things that could kill you and so on. And you have a choice. You can have this boring, or you can have this ordinary life, or you can try to cross the jungle. Now, each one of us would approach that differently. For me, I had to have the greatest life I could have. So I have a little bit of a taste of adventure. So how would you cross that jungle? And what I learned was that the best way to cross that jungle would be with a team of people who I cared about, they cared about with me, who could see things that I couldn't see, and I could see things that they couldn't see. And that way you could be effective together. And so that's what I did. That's how it worked. And what I also learned through that thing is, like, I don't want to get out of the jungle. I don't want to get to the other side, because the actual act of being in it with them and to do those things is itself rewarding. So I'm confident that I wouldn't have learned that if I didn't have that kind of experience.
So you're still in the jungle today.
Yeah, I'm in my jungle, but my jungle, everyone's jungle is a life arc. There's a life arc, right? You have to recognize the life arc. 0 to, I don't know, 80, 85 or something is the life arc. Something like that. I'm 71. I know where I am on that journey. Okay. It's important to know, where are you on your journey? And then when you start to think about that, like, where will I be in 10 years? I'm going to be a different person in 10 years. Okay. Where will the people I love be? Think about yourself. Where will you be in 10 years? And where will the people you love be? It could be your kids. It could be your parents. Where will they be? And what will their experiences and the journey that they're going through and you're going through? And this script in the journey, by the way, is pretty well known, right? Like, I think, I'll give you an example. I think it comes kind of in 3 phases. The first phase is when you're dependent on others and, you're learning. Okay. Then what happens is you get out of school and you become independent and you go to work, and then it's entirely different. You're in the second phase of your life when others are dependent on you and you're working and you're trying to be successful. And then but there are the arcs, and you could see markers along those lines. Do you get married? When do you have a kid? When, like, I realized, like, when my kids have kids, I'm now in my third phase. Okay. So you see these things, and so you have to see that. So what I want at this phase of my life at 71, I'm in transition from my second phase, in which I've worked and I've won and I've played, it's like, had my battles and it was great and so on. And now I'm in a mission to pass along the things that were valuable to me. I want to pass them along to others. And then I'm going to go quiet. And then I'm in that other phase, but you learn things. And so this is kind of a mentor, pass it along phase.
How do you stay confident in transition from kind of one identity to a new identity? That's something new, that's something unknown, whether it be in your personal transition life or in the financial world where things are unknown, things are transitioning, or it might seem like it. How do you personally stay confident in the transition?
First of all, you're really talking about comfort with ambiguity.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way that I feel it is, life is like an adventure. I mean, if you knew everything, it wouldn't be nearly as good, right? So the ambiguity is part of it. It's part of the game. It's just the way it is. And then, so to then experience that and to know how to deal with ambiguity, because the same rules apply. Feel it. What's it like? How does it feel? Where are the pulls to? How do you learn? How do you learn how to approach it? What's it like? Speak to others who have been in that spot before. Taste it, and so on. Our preferences change, as you're going through all those things. So you feel it out. You learn about it. You go to the things that you feel the pull toward.
I'm curious. You have feelings you've been talking about for a few moments, but I know you're a very thoughtful human being. You create algorithms for your entire work, your team. Everything is based on algorithms, kind of thoughts and ideas, but I'm hearing you say you're a deep feeler as well. Would you say you're more led by thoughts or your feelings? And
No,
what
I
should,
think it's the alignment of them. Okay, here's the facts pertaining them. There is a subliminal mind that we have, and there's a conscious mind. Freud discovered that there's a subliminal mind. So we have, and in that subliminal mind, we just don't see it because it's not conscious, but it has a big effect. And so feelings and those things are coming through that subliminal mind, and it really has a big control. And then there's a conscious logical mind. So for everybody. And so they're in your mind, they're like everybody's mind. There are these kind of two minds that are working. Now, I find that when I align them, meditation has had a big effect on me. I've been meditating since 1969.
wow.
So for a long time, because what that does, literally, it's an exercise where you repeat a mantra, the sound, and then you lose sort of a consciousness and you go into the subconscious mind. But in any case, to reconcile feelings with thoughts, to recognize feelings with logic and align them, like each has to double check for me. Like if my feelings, I'm a big feeling person. The most important things in life for me are what? Inspiration, love. What is it about? I mean, what are you doing it for? But at the same time, to be able to get there, logic and be able to express oneself and in algorithms or so is a good thing. So when they're aligned, it's kind of a double check and it works at both levels. So I think that's most important.
When you doubt a decision or maybe just a moment in your life, personal or business related, doesn't matter. When you're in doubt of something, what is your personal mantra to get you back to a kind of a centered, aligned place where you can make a better decisions?
Well, on the doubts, the question is always like, how big of a deal is it? And what is this type of bet and so on? And, little doubts. No, okay, that's no big thing. Life and death decisions, those kinds of things. They're big, those are the big questions. And what I realize on those is doubting is part of that process. You can only be sure a certain amount. How do you get to the best triangulation? In other words, take in from the smartest people and your own thoughts and so on, so that you're making that, understand how reality works, and then try to make sure that none of your decisions are the ones that knock you out of the game. In other words, like I've got an expression for people who work for me: you can scratch the car, but you can't total the car. You could. So realize, okay, you don't win it all. You make your best bets, but don't have the one. So you have to eliminate the killer ones, because you have enough killer ones, and odds are one of them is going to get you.
Right.
So I approach it basically that way. Try to make the diversification. Try not to have any killer. Eliminate all of those that are unacceptable, and then go for the upside and doubt. But I'm used to doubt. I doubt. There's everything. Every time you put on a position in the markets, for example, I am never sure look, it would be easy if I knew. So there's a lot of doubt.
Right.
So doubt is part of it, but don't put yourself in a position that you can have unacceptable.
Where you go broke.
Being banged around a little bit is okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So how do you have confidence when you're doubting yourself and you're like, I think this is going to do well based on all the math and historical evidence and feelings? How do you have confidence when you place that bet?
I have enough bets that I make the bet so that no one of them, I won't allow anyone that'll kill me.
Right.
And then I'll typically only want to make bets that I feel good about. And I will have them stress tested, my bets, by having other people stress test it. So just imagine, I don't know, you're playing a chess game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe you're a chess master, but okay, what are you going to do? You have to still make a move. So, okay, what's the best thing to do? Now, imagine you could ask the best chess masters in the world what you do and think about the pros and cons and make your decision and just not make it that also one's going to knock out of the game.
Why is a time like this a great time to make money?
Well, it's a great time to be introspective and to pivot and to do resets and to try stuff you never tried before.
Yeah.
Because you might as well, right? We're all sitting at home. We got to try something.
Got those free time. Yeah.
I mean, we pivoted a whole bunch of product lines here at Ramsey and all kinds of things, and we throwing all these offerings out there, stuff that we might have messed around with split tests for a year or whatever. Instead, we just dumped it on the street. Let's just try it. Just see if we can help some people and give some people something to do while they're at home with some digital products. And so that's exciting. You may have a situation where you hated your job. I mean, statistics tell us that 68% of Americans hate their job. And some of you don't have that job anymore. So you get the opportunity to get one you like now.
Yeah.
And you might not have done that on your own. So this could be the best thing that ever happened to you. There's a lot of good that comes out of this much pressure because it forces you to reset.
Yeah.
It forces you to rethink. And, 2 or 3, 4 crises ago, I don't know, I'm an old guy now, I had a personal crisis, of losing everything. I decided I was never going to be the victim of the things I can control when one of these things that I can't control come at me again. And so we got out of debt and we built an emergency fund. And we were in the last downturn of 2008, we were in a position we had piles of cash. And so I was able to buy real estate at a nickel and a dime on the dollar. And it was a wonderful time. But there were other times I was broke and couldn't take advantage of stuff being on sale. But if you're in a position you got money right now, the stock market's on sale, real estate's not moved much yet. But if you're buying even consumer items other than toilet paper, most things are on sale.
I know. How much deeper down do you think this will take in terms of, you said real estate's not on sale yet, but it probably will be. How much farther down do you think things are going to go and for how long? With your, just your guess on this?
I mean, weather forecasters and economists, the only people can be wrong all the time and still keep their job. So I have no idea, but I do know there's going to be a direct correlation between how long we stay out and how long it takes us to recover. No kidding. It's kind of common sense. The obvious is every week that we're out, there's another series of businesses that will never reopen, that will close. And so, that's a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of the gross domestic product, all the goods and services produced in the U.S., shrinking rather than growing. That's all it is. It receded rather than expanded. And so recession sounds like a big, scary depression type word, but it simply means 2 quarters. We've not had 1 quarter yet, shrinkage. So it would have to be up into the fall before you can officially declare this a recession or what results from the corona shutdowns a recession. So I don't know, but I'm sure hoping that the folks are not ill and that nobody dies and it's a horrible thing. And but the juxtaposition with that is the sooner we can get back to work, the fewer people are going to be affected by the economics of this. And it's not saying I'm trading a dollar for a life, but today, actually, that we've lost about 100 jobs per case of corona right now.
Wow.
So the corona
shutdown in America, or
in America, yeah, we've lost about the corona shutdowns affected 100 families' jobs for every case, not death, for every case of the virus. And I don't want anybody to be sick. I don't want anybody to die, and I don't want the hospital bills and the beds and the ventilators to run out. I don't want any bad stuff. I'm not a medical person. But I am an entrepreneur, and I'm, every day we're not working is a trade-off, and it is a good trade-off because you don't want to kill people. Believe me, I'm not saying that. But man, it's painful to watch these people lose their businesses.
Yeah. From you mentioned you've been through 3 or 4 recessions. I don't want to say your age out here, but it sounds like you've been around the block. You've experienced some stuff. I only went through really I guess my adult life when I was 24, I guess it was the 2008 to 2009 time frame when I was just got out of school and I was trying to figure out my life. I had 3 credit cards I was living off of. I was living on my sister's couch for a year and a half. I was in college debt, and I didn't have any skills that I thought were usable to get a job or do anything. And when I look back, 11, 12 years ago, that was actually the greatest time and the greatest gift for me to develop skills, to work hard, to hustle, to try to see how can I make $100 here and there, and then turn that into a business. And it was it was the hardest time and the greatest time for me. I'm curious, with your experience in watching these over the years, what were the greatest lessons you learned from each one that you applied in the last 3 weeks with your personal business?
Well, it is cliche, but cliches come from truth. That it's the greatest time and the worst time in your life. You don't want to go back there.
No,
Good Lord, no. I don't want to
never.
go back there. I went bankrupt. I lost everything in my 20s. I don't want to go back there. But the lessons that I learned from that pain were so thorough. Pain is a thorough teacher.
Yes.
That it was a rich time. The fertilizer was everywhere. Lots of place to grow stuff, lots of poop. So, and that's what you had there in 2008. There weren't any jobs. You could just, there was a contraction of the economy, a recession, and you are on your citrus couch. And so you found out that the secret sauce in your life is the guy in your mirror.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not some outside variable that's going to come and save you. The cavalry's not coming. Santa Claus doesn't live in Washington, D.C. It's up to you, baby. Get up off the couch. I got to go leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home. You found that truth in that moment. I found that truth that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That old saying. I found that truth. And so nowadays, now that I've been through, Y2K or 911 or all these initials come at you, the horrible thing of 2008, now the corona, the only thing I am sure is we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
You get hope because you go, it's not going to kill you. Well, I guess you could get the virus. I don't mean that, but I'm saying the economic stress that we're under, the fear that we have, the concern or the worry that we have, you don't die from it. But you feel like there's this hopelessness. And the truth is that's unfounded. The truth is there's a lot of reason to have hope. By September, where do you really think we're going to be? By this time next year, are you not 90-something% sure that the economy will be roaring again and your life will be back to some level of normalcy? You think it's going to be 10 years for you to personally recover from this? No, that's absurd. And you know that once you've walked through several of them. And so it's just, to me, it's like, yeah, you're going to make it. We're going to be okay.
Yeah. And so I guess I'm just curious about your personal thoughts. Do you think to yourself, like, I'm fine because I've followed my 7 steps for years and I've got, cash and I feel safe and protected. So now how can I shift and adapt and pivot and serve my community and customers more? Or do you feel any anxiety personally at all? Or?
Oh, no, none. No, we're in fabulous financial shape. It's not I got a lot of money invested in the stock market. It's going down. I'm gonna put some more money in while it's on sale. If real estate goes on sale again, I'll buy some more. So no, my personal stuff, it's not arrogance. It's just I've been doing this a long time.
You're the king of it. Yeah.
I'm the little pig in the brick house. Huff and puff, baby. And so, but it does put you in a position to serve then. And truthfully, you get more joy, even in a crisis, in serving than you do in sitting in the basement and counting your coins. The opportunity, I got 1,000 folks on our team, and the struggle and the scratching and the scrappiness and the clawing to keep this place running, and all of them not have their incomes interrupted in any way during this time. That's an act of service and leadership. The act of service of speaking hope and life into this, into the communities around America right now is an act of service on my part. It's being on the air 3 hours a day, the Dave Ramsey Show, and saying it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, over and over and over again. Right now, that's my job. That's what I do, that's just so much more satisfying than counting coins.
Yeah. Now, I followed your steps when I was, 25, 26, when I started making some money. When I was like, it's hard to follow a step when you feel like you're living off credit cards and in debt and you're not making any money. So you feel like this sense of helplessness, really. And I know I've listened to a lot of your shows with people where they feel helpless. And it takes that initial momentum to kind of kickstart it and see little savings here and there, and then pay off one thing here and there. But I tell you, once I finished those, I guess really the first 5 to 6 steps, I don't have a home still. I still rent for personal reasons, but the first 5 to 6 steps, and then building wealth and giving. Once I got through these, it's just like, man, you feel so much more bulletproof. I feel so much more bulletproof now. After 10 years of building into this recession, I feel safe. I feel fine. I feel protected. And it gives me so much more peace of mind since I did follow your steps. So I would first want to acknowledge you for that, for creating something so simple for us and providing this 3 hours a day for everybody. I think it's amazing. You sound like a preacher and a motivational speaker to me in the last few minutes, just speaking life and hope into us. So I appreciate that. What are you telling the people right now who are saying, you know what, I didn't follow your advice. I didn't do what I should have done. I still live off of credit cards. I overbought, paid for my house, and I've got this expensive lifestyle and credit cards that I know I'm wrong. I made a mistake. I own it, and now I'm screwed. And I just got 50% cut of my work. I might lose my job in 2 months. I've got all these bills. Like, how do you even respond to something like that?
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't say I told you so. That's not the
Yeah.
message, because I've been there. I've done stupid stuff too, and that's not helpful. And it doesn't bring any healing. The thing is this: we all get wake up calls.
Mm-hmm.
We get wake up calls in our relationships, our spiritual walk, our leadership styles. We get wake up calls in our finances, and some people, the phone's ringing off the hook right now. They're getting wake up calls on a bunch of things. They're at home with their family, and they're starting to realize, I was disconnected from my family. I haven't been plugged in. They got a wake up call on their relationships at home. They've gotten a wake up call on, I don't have any savings, and I'm deeply in debt. This isn't working. And so the cool thing is, when you get the call, then you have to make the choice. Are you going to answer the phone? If you pick the phone up, that means, baby, it's time to change. And you can look back, and you might be 27 years old right now watching this, and you're screwed. You lost your job. You got no money. You got no savings, and you feel like it's all over. And I remember in 1970, I was 10 years old, and I was in my grandpa's backyard. We were tearing down an old deck, and I pulled some nails out of those old boards as we were taking the boards off. And he taught me to put them down and straighten them with a hammer and save those used nails in a coffee can. Now, my grandpa Ramsey was one of my favorite people on the planet. This is 1970, and he was still answering the phone that rang in the Great Depression. It changed his life. He was frugal and careful and wise with money the rest of his life. And so someday, 27-year-old, you're going to be sitting on the back porch with your grandkid, and you're going to remember, back in 2020, there was the coronavirus, and it changed my life, and that you're going to be that guy. You're going to be giving dad jokes, and grandpa jokes, right? Like I am now. And you're going to get that opportunity. I was 28 years old when I lost everything. It was my fault. It was the S&L crisis. The banking climate changed. I'd built a house of cards. I was stupid. And the phone rang. It was my wake-up call. Are you going to answer the phone? Are you going to change your life to where you say, never again? I'm going to control the controllables to where I'm the little pig in the brick house. Never again. That may be the only thing you get out of this crisis. And if it is, you got enough.
Preach to me, Dave. Come on now. I love this. What's the biggest wake-up call for you that this has had? Maybe it's not the financial side of things or business because you guys are thriving. Is there something, relationship, family, friendships, health? Is there anything that's woken you up now or in the near future and recently?
Well, I've spent the last 15 years pouring into our leadership team and into the Ramsey personalities, creating this succession plan it's not a wake-up call. It's more of a source of pride as to how our leadership team and our Ramsey personalities are reacting in the moment here without me coaching them. They already knew what to do.
They're leading.
They're out there doing it. They're doing it. They're out there.
They're not waiting for Grandpa Dave to say, "What do I do? Tell me the steps." They're leading.
They already
That's
did it.
powerful.
They already did it, and then I found out about it. And that's
Wow.
awesome. And so it's just a sense of this is starting to work. I mean, when Rachel Cruz and Ken Hogan and these guys are doing, Ken Coleman are doing all these hits, and Chris Hogan, all these guys are doing all these hits, these radio and TV and appearances and all this stuff everywhere, and the networks are calling and asking for them, which is awesome. And so that kind of thing is. I don't know if it's a wake-up call as much as it is. It's very satisfying to say, all that work of the last decade and a half of getting everybody ready to win because we were winning in a winning environment. But then when you get the pressures on and you get squeezed, you see what comes out, and it's good stuff coming out.
What was the last, what year would you say was the last big wake-up call for you around, one of the main areas of your life? Do you remember when that was? Where you're like, oh, I'm eating a little too many candy bars, or my relationship, or what? It sounds like you've had the finances down for many years, but is there another life where you're like, oh, you know what? I really didn't do as good as I should have done here.
I guess it's probably leadership, and I probably get one of those calls every day.
Really?
There's some days I'm a world-class leader, and some days I'm just a butt.
In what way? Like, how are you?
So sometimes I do a better job than other times as a leader, and I own it. I get it, but you'd think as old as I am, I'd be doing better. So, but I know what I'm supposed to do, but sometimes I just don't have the energy to do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I should just care more. I really should. I shouldn't be such a grouch.
Oh no, you care a lot about a lot of people. I'm curious, what's the best dad joke you share?
Oh Lord, I have no idea. You got me. I'm not a dad joke guy really, other than just stupid stuff off the cuff that doesn't even make sense generationally. So yeah.
No good dad jokes. What is the most common thing that you're hearing with the people that are calling in for you right now? What's the thing that you hear over and over again that they need the most support with?
I think there's a sense. I think when hope gets gut punched, the way it has for folks right now, the answers fall. A lot of them fall in the category of this is not going to last forever, because there's this sense that stock market's down. Do I take my investments out? Well, only if you think it's going to stay down forever,
right?
Because you're 35. You're going to be investing for 30 more years. You don't think it's going to come up in 30 more years? I mean, really, you're predicting the end of America? I mean, that's silly. But your emotions tell you lies when they're based in fear and when they're based in anger, and they tell you lies, and they tell me lies. We believe those lies in situations like this. So, I lost my job. I know, but that's happened before and probably happen again. Just get you another one. Well, there's a lot of people hiring right now.
There are a lot of people hiring.
Amazon's hiring 100,000 people right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's jobs. It may not be the one you want, but you can get some food.
Yeah.
Get you a leaf blower, and rich people are afraid of leaves. You can make some money. So there's some stuff to do out there. But so the thing the sense that the thing you're afraid of is going to last longer than it is.
Yeah.
Whether it's the actual virus, whether it's the shutdowns, whether it's the economic repercussions of the shutdowns, whether it's the employment situation, whether it's the quarantine, it feels like it's going to last forever. But I mean, the chances of you being in the exact situation you're in a few months is almost zero. Yeah. Your life is not a snapshot. You're not trapped in this moment. It's a film strip. The story's going to continue to unfold. Yeah. And so that when hope takes a gut punch, though, we get down in that fear, or we're mad, or however it is we manifest that stuff, those negative things, the emotions that we all have in these situations, that's where a lot of my questions are coming. They're all built in that. And I'm spending all my time going, yeah, but it's not going to last forever. Yeah, but it's not going to last forever. Yeah, but let's visit this in May. I think you're going to be okay. By June, are you even going to remember this? It's the great toilet paper shortage of the spring. I don't know. I mean, what is it? It's some people are going to have devastating, horrible things that are going to be life changing, but that's a very small percentage compared to the number of that are worried about it.
Yeah.
And so,
And you're going to get out of
worries,
it. You're going to
you're
get out
going to
of
be
it.
okay. You're going to be okay.
I like Preacher Dave, man. This should just be Preacher show. I like this. What is the worst investment people should be making during this time, and what's the best investment they can make?
In my life, when I have become desperate, right after that's when I become stupid.
Yeah.
And
explain.
The other one is when I get, when you get scared and you go rushing towards something out of fear, that sense of desperation, this thing, when you do that, you're getting ready to screw up. I mean, just count on it. And the other time you do that is if you're greedy. If you think okay, I got this one. I can take advantage of this. And I mean, greedy as a lack of virtue greedy. I don't mean greedy in a positive way where I'm being ambitious, okay? I mean the negative sides of greed. And so if you're functioning in desperation or in this no holds barred, I'm going to just clean up on other people's pain thing, that's when you're getting ready to screw up and you're getting ready to make a major mistake. And so you're set up also for con artists when you do that. And so if you're functioning in high emotion, your brain just doesn't work good. My friend Art Laffer says, when you're panicked and when you're drunk, you don't make good decisions. And so, when you're on high emotion, your brain your critical thinking skills shut down. And so that's when I've made the biggest mistakes in my life, is when I was desperate, and the few times that I was greedy, where I thought, I'm going to slip in there and that's going to be easy money.
As a comedian growing up, you had to do so many horrible shows where 3 people were in attendance, 1 person, whatever, 10 people, and it didn't go well. People aren't standing up, laughing. They're not giving you standing ovations. They're booing, whatever it is. How do you get to the point where you show up day in, day out, every night to these places if you're not being liked or likable, and no one's giving you reassurance that you're actually any good in the beginning?
I think that for me, the best thing is this. It's like, look, I understand that everybody's not going to like you. That's a fact. Everybody's not going to like you. And there was one moment where I felt like everybody was supposed to. I felt like everybody is supposed to like me, man. I'm a nice guy. I'm a lovable, nice guy. Why wouldn't you like me? What I found, I was like, look, everybody's not going to like you. And you can't change that. You can't control that. So it's my job to be happy with my attempt and what it is that I'm trying to do. That's my job. So, as you're going to perform at said shithole or said small environment, I realized that each one of those opportunities was a way for me to work on me, my craft. And I'm supposed to take something out of that moment that's good, whether it's 2 laughs, whether it's 20, whether it's 100, I have to take something away from this experience and basically hold on to it and improve off of that.
Yeah.
If I go do these things and everything about these things are always bad, well, that means that I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
They can't always be bad. There has to be something good that's coming out of it. I'm not searching for it. So I found a way to search for the good. I found a way to search for, the positive side of my experiences. Yeah. Whether they're good or bad, there's a way to search for the good shit. And as I continue to do that, I developed a high level of shoulder shrug.
Yeah.
But
that's not easy to do when you're, a foot shorter than all the comedians out there. There's no one that's, people are just doubting you. You were talking about in your book how you can't even get an audition in the early days to the movie side of things. How do you increase confidence in yourself when there's just no?
Well, because everybody's story is different. Everybody's story is different. And what I find is that it takes time for everyone. For everyone. Nobody, even the easiest road is still met with some degrees of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you're going to go into some degree of difficulty. For example, I'm watching, the Jordan documentary.
Oh man, Last Dance. It's amazing. Did you finish it?
Amazing, right? I'm gonna tell you what I realized from the Jordan documentary.
Wow.
It's so dope, so amazing. You wanna know who I've been actually in awe of since watching this? Steve Kerr.
Oh man, the last 2 episodes with him, he's unbelievable.
Steve Kerr, people don't even realize this. Steve Kerr is sitting on 8 championships. 8
Machine.
championships. Listen, 4 with the Bulls, 1 with the Spurs, and he has 3 with the Warriors. But in between all of that, what seems like an easy road, a great road, you find out that Steve got punched in the face by Michael Jordan, and you find out that there was these bumps along the way that you would have never known. From the outside, you would have never known that Mike challenged Steve and the pressure that Steve felt when he was on his franchise to do certain thing, and I didn't have the athleticism. If I got past the ball, I had to hit the shot.
You only had 5 shots a game, all that, yeah.
Game, but if I missed any of those shots, the ball wasn't coming my way anymore. So I had to make sure. You would have never known. You would have never known. I say that to say and use it as an example for there are no easy roads.
Yeah.
So when I was coming up and I'm not getting the auditions, or I'm not getting the opportunities, I had to say to myself, it's going to come. If I put the work in, it has no choice but to come. Now, as I'm saying that and doing that, I'm looking around. There's certain comedians that were doing the same stuff over and over again for years on years on years. Certain comedians that felt comfortable with just making whatever the money was. It wasn't about the money, it was about the craft. So I knew that if I got better at the craft, that I would eventually get to the money. And that's what my focus was. Granted, I'm a part of a very small percentage, and you have to attach some luck to it. Mm-hmm. And the hard work with the luck is an amazing collaboration. Yeah. So it ended up paying off, but I knew what I had to do. So there were no other options. I didn't have other baskets with eggs in it. This was it.
There's no backup plan, no backup plan. So you weren't thinking of like, oh, I'm going to go to a job here. This is the only thing I've got.
No.
Now, when you were getting, booed at and it wasn't going your way for years, was it your mom that you come back to and say, well, I still believe in you. You're funny. You've got this. Did you have a group of friends that would actually encourage you, or were they kind of saying, what are you doing this for? Go get a real job.
There were no other options, right? And there was nobody to really lean on because nobody saw the gold in comedy. When you're trying and you tell your friends or your family members that you're doing stand-up comedy, it's not like
there's no money.
You're about to be a millionaire. You're gonna make it all. Nobody says that. They're like, what? You tell them jokes, good luck with that, buddy. Nobody sees the light at the end of that tunnel. So that's a vision that you have.
Wow.
And that you have to hone in on. Because nobody else has that.
How did you see that this is something you can make potentially a lot of money with, or enough to live?
I loved it. I loved it, and there were people who did. So there's obviously a world of revenue that funnels through comedy. Why do all these comedy clubs all over exist? Mm-hmm. Why do these colleges book comedians every year, and the colleges have to spend a certain amount of money on entertainment? Why are comedians the ones that are best suitable for hosting jobs, personality-driven jobs, etc.? Radio personalities. There's so many doors that get open.
Talk shows, yeah.
Yeah, from the world of comedy. So when you look at that and you realize that, it's just about figuring out how to get there.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. How do you get there? How do you go down that road? What are the goals? What are the accomplishments that are baby accomplishments, but that become bigger? The first one is getting into the comedy clubs. If I can get into the comedy clubs, that's major. Now I'm a working comedian and I'm working. Am I a regular host? Am I The comedy club's feature. All right, that's here. So now how do I work on being a headliner? Let me get some material so that way when I do get the opportunity, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Oh wait, but how do people come see me? I gotta figure that out. Shit, I'm gonna start doing what? I gotta get my likeliness up at the time. These are all little hills that you have to climb, but after climbing them, they pay off.
Do you think it was harder for you to learn how to be a great comedian or learn about the business of building your personal brand, your audience, selling tickets, marketing, sales, packaging, positioning? Which one was harder?
Becoming a good comedian is definitely the hardest. Comedy doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
You know, the most talented. You still got to learn how to be a comedian. You still have to learn how to tell a joke. You still got to know beginning, middle, and end, a punchline, a segue, a set. You still have to do all those things. So, you know, we're in one of the most critiqued professions in the world. You know, if you're not funny, boo you. Boo. It's the easiest shit in the world. Boo. It's the easiest shit to do in the world. It takes a lot of skill and craftsmanship to be a good comedian. You know, so honing in on that craft and perfecting that craft or doing your best attempt to, that's a job within itself. Making people laugh is easy if you're funny, naturally funny, but being a comedian is a different ball game.
I've got kind of a personal question for you I want to ask you about. I don't have kids. I've got a girlfriend, just moved in a few months ago. I'm curious, and I ask this to a lot of successful men out there in the world. I'm curious, do you think that you'd be able to build the empire you have as a single man with essentially, quote unquote, more time to go out and do the things you want to do, master your craft, build your business? Or do you believe that having a great family, a great wife is the key to part of your success and growth as well?
I think that you definitely need that. You know, you have to understand the amazing benefit that goes within a strong woman in your corner. And here's what I mean by that, okay? You know, can you be single and have success? Of course, there's several people out there that do. Can you also not be focused? Absolutely. You know, the world of fun is never ending if you want it to be. Every night can be a fantastic night, but every morning can be a rough, groggy one, you know? And that's what the single life, that's the attraction. It's just freedom. And there's an amazing reward that comes within that. But for me, I don't want that. I wouldn't be good with that. And I don't think that the level of success that I've reached, I would have been able to reach with a crazy amount of freedom. Now, granted, fucking human. There's nobody that's going to get thrown a curveball of success, fame, money, popularity, and not fall victim to any of the consequences. You eventually will. You will. It's no way around it, especially if you're younger. You will. And after you fall victim to whatever consequences, and there's so many different variations of them, you know, consequences can be spending money and you know, not realizing the things that came with making money and blowing that load. It could be drugs. It could be being mean and ignorant to people. It could be infidelity. It could be, you know, there's so many different things, you know. kids all over. There's so many fucking different things that can act as a consequence,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to the, I guess you could say, the freedom and opportunities that come because of your freedom with success.
Yeah.
I personally, I needed the gotta get home, gotta be home, can't do. Did that stop me from being a dickhead in a couple places? No. You know, did I learn from my mistakes? Of course. Are they mistakes that I would take back if I could? No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be able to understand at the level that I do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So without those fucking mistakes and hard punches in the stomach of reality of life, then you don't have any space to grow. You don't have a fucking lesson to learn. So I can't say that I would have been able to achieve. Because you also need that, you need the security of an environment that's a good environment and not an environment created off of what you have, who you are.
Right.
And if you're engulfed in that world, you know,
Temptation left and right.
and how much of it is for you as an individual and as a good person, and how much of it is influenced by the world that you're in and what you have.
Yeah, I love what you said here. And earlier you talked about the expectation that people have as human beings is so great right now. It's so high that the world is judging everyone who has any influence to be perfect on every level of every word they say, action they take. And yet, what I'm hearing you say is you need to fail. You need to make mistakes. You need to be an idiot sometimes so you have perspective. And it sounds like for the next decade, too, maybe more, you're going to make a lot more mistakes. Maybe.
I mean, you don't know what you're gonna do. Like that's the fucking amazing thing about life. Like that's literally the amazing thing about life. You have no idea. It's your job to try to do your best to grow and to set up whatever you can for those around you. And if you don't have people around you, then you're living for yourself. But it's your job to do the best that you can in doing that.
Yeah.
Along the way, you're gonna make mistakes. Here's the shit that is so simplistic that people just don't get. Who do you think plans to go to fucking jail? Who?
No one.
What bank robber do you think ever put the plan together to rob a bank to get caught after?
Not many.
Who? You don't think they all think that they're going to be the ones to get away?
Right.
Yeah. You don't think that in their mind this is going to be a life-changing moment? You don't think that people that overdose on drugs think that there's no shot that it can happen to them? You don't think that there's actual mistakes that happen within bad decision making? There is. You don't think that the person that bungee jumped thought that this would come back up? You think that person knew it would snap? These are all just fucking examples that I'm pulling out my ass. But these are all fucking examples.
Yeah.
You know, my little girl, my daughter, she went to go pet a dog and the dog started growling and barking real crazy. My daughter ain't went to go pet a dog since. You think that she thought in her mind this dog is nice because all dogs are supposed to be nice? It's not until you see that they're not that you know that they're not. So I say all that to say you have to experience some down to know why you're getting up. You know, like the whole thing of a cancel culture and the consequences being so severe for so many, it's fucking ridiculous. Do I think that there should be consequences for people's actions? Absolutely. Absolutely. But are you telling me that you should never be able to recover from a mistake? Then why the fuck do people go to jail?
Right.
Aren't you supposed to go to jail
To learn.
to learn from your fucking mistakes so you can get out and then do better?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this whole reform thing is. It's like you send me to jail to go do better and get better, and then I come out, and because I was in jail, nobody wants to allow me to get better. It's a backwards thing. So
Yeah.
are we teaching lessons or not? Do we want people to improve or do we not?
Right.
What are we saying?
How do you, yeah. How do you personally handle the emotional side or the weight or the pressure of media or whatever, just the online internet world, or potential sponsors or brands or shows? They're saying like, oh, you're in the middle of some adversity right now or some controversy. How do you personally deal with the emotional weight to not let it affect you? Because it seems like you just continue to thrive no matter what mistake you make here or there.
Well, there is no pressure. And here's what I mean when I say there's no pressure. Okay? If you make a bed, lay in your bed. Bottom line, you made it, lay in it. Okay? So in laying in that bed, whatever comes with it is what you're willing to take because you made it. Right now, yes, I have to maneuver differently. Yes, I have to make sure I carry myself in a certain way. I'm a CEO, I'm a brand, I'm a business, and there's a lot of layers that go underneath the machine that runs the world of Kevin Hart now. There's a lot of people that are involved in that world. So I don't have the fuck it attitude, but I do have an attitude of I've done my share of shit, and in doing it, I've addressed it, and in addressing it, I made my share of mistakes within addressing it, learn from that too. I've done all of that. None of this stuff has affected the character that I have. None of it has affected me to start to doubt me.
Really?
I know who I am.
You never doubt yourself after all this
Never
stuff.
doubt.
Wow.
I know who I am. I know what I am. And in knowing what I am and who I am, you can go look in the mirror and go, oh, that was a dumb move. Oh, you're a jackass. But I'm not a bad person. So within my relationships and partnerships, I think that I've done a good job of letting, them all know who I am, and they see who I am, and we have a really good relationship. So in the future, moving forward, I have a job to do to protect those relationships because I care about them. I value them.
Right.
So I can't just move willy-nilly because that means that I'm not staying true to my relationships. And that's what, the older you get and the more you experience things, you learn. Not just about you. It's about others that can be affected by what you do. So now I see that, I understand that. The younger version of me didn't see that or understand that. And there was a high level of, fuck it, man, look, I'm not gonna deal with this because this ain't got shit to do with this or not. And that's not the right attitude. But if I didn't have the wrong attitude when I had it then, and if I didn't understand what I know now, I wouldn't be prepared for this next wave of shit that may be coming my way or may not.
Right.
But if it does, I'm prepared for it now. I'm at least prepared. I'm in a different space of understanding. I'm in a different space of knowledge.
It's almost like going back to The Last Dance. Jordan was talking about you know, when he had to go through all of it publicly, how much that took a toll on him at first, but then it gave him the experience for the future and for his friends when they went through scandals and stuff to be able to be a leader in that situation and have more knowledge. And it sounds like you're in that situation right now. I'm curious about your wife. I asked this, The Rock did a live about a month ago on his Instagram, and I asked a question on there and he answered it. And it was a really powerful response. And I'm curious what yours is to this question. The question is, what is the thing you admire the most about your wife that most people don't know about?
Strongest person in the world. Strongest person in the world. And her understanding for reality versus false reality is so crystal clear. You know, it's a tough seat to sit in, you know, being my wife. It's a tough seat to sit in. You know, it's crazy to say this, but there's this movie that people love to watch, and it's called The Rise and Fall. And the tickets to the rise are sold out, but the tickets to see what a fall looks like, I mean, you're talking about a sellout on top of a sellout. I mean, it's the most watched thing ever. So naturally, when you get to a certain space or a certain level, you know, I don't know why, but there's a root against, and she experienced a lot of that. You know, a lot of that turmoil that we went through. You know, it's, girl, don't be with no man that's going to disrespect you, or don't do this or don't do that.
It's almost like a lot of people are against her for, yeah.
It's insane. It's insane. And, you know, the one thing, we had a talk, and the one thing that I told my wife, I said, whatever you do, I'm here. I'm going to be supportive of, you know, whatever you do. If you decide that you want to go and leave, then honey, by all means, no matter what, she's taken care of. No matter what, you're the mother of my child. You know, my ex-wife now, we're not together, but she's taken care of. Mother of my kids. I'm not a bad person.
What's the lesson you've learned in the last 2 to 3 years that you thought you'd already learned, that you keep learning, that comes the hard way? Is there anything that you still learn, or have you seen it all?
No, it's as you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a story of my rich dad who had no education, but he grew up in business for real. You know, he took over the family business at 13, so he kind of grew up in the real world of money. Where my rich dad was a PhD, poor, helpless, and desperate. Went to Stanford, University in Northwestern. You know, very smart guy, good guy, and all this. But as you know, teachers don't know shit.
Yeah.
They teach stuff. They teach stuff they don't know nothing about.
Right. Well, some of them are forced. I mean, they're forced to teach that, right? Some of them try to educate in other ways and inspire.
Don't defend them. Don't defend them. I don't like them. Anyway, you know what happens? When do I get in the most trouble? Is when I criticize going to school. Because to many people, it's their only hope and salvation.
Yeah.
So if I say, well, I don't think school teaches you much, I may as well piss on the Pope. You know, they said,
I know.
Religion. If you don't go to school, and then it tells us, well, you know, Steve Jobs dropped out. He did pretty good.
Yep.
Gates dropped out. Dell dropped out.
Zuckerberg
dropped out. Henry Ford, Walt Disney. They didn't hurt. No. So anyway, education is religion to most people.
Yeah.
So that's why I step on toes and I get dumped.
Well, what did Mark Twain's quote say? Like, don't let schooling get in the way of your education, or something like that. And one of the reasons why I started the School of Greatness, I was telling you before we started recording, is that I was in the special needs classes literally every day for as long as I can remember. Since kindergarten until 7th year in college, I had a tutor. I was in the special needs classes with a few kids who had learning disabilities. And it was the most challenging thing for me, because I wish they would have taught me things that I'm learning now. And the reason I created the School of Greatness, because I was like, what are the things I wish they would have taught me in school to help me get ahead in my finances, to help me get ahead in my health, my mindset, my, how to deal with a breakup in a relationship, a tragic time, like the emotional side of things, the education that I wish they would have taught us. I was like, I'm going to go create it. And I'm going to find people like Robert and teach us the ways. So, you're doing that through your work, and I'm trying to do that. But I think there's people trying to do good by educating outside of the traditional school system where I think they're more limited.
Correct. And that's why I created the cash flow board game, is because I learned about money playing. I learned about money playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
I learned more about life playing Monopoly than I did in 4 years of college.
Yeah.
I went to a really good school, the best schools in the world, U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. And I came out a rich man, but it didn't teach me much about money. I was only a high-paid employee.
Yeah.
So then I joined the Marine Corps. Then I have two professions. I can fly for United Airlines, or I could sail for Standard Oil. I didn't want to do either because it wasn't challenging anymore. Mm-hmm. I think if there's a lesson is that I'm looking for the challenge, and some people are looking for security. They're two different people. They're very, very, they're extremely different people.
Yeah, and you talk about, rich favors the bold, those that are willing to take risks and willing to put themselves out there. Do you think you can get rich without taking risks and being bold and taking, these big chances? Or can you keep this security mindset and really gain true wealth?
Well, many people have. You look at Cuomo and all those guys, they were born rich kids from their father.
Right.
Trump could have taken that path too. He was born a rich kid. So it's not, I think you're either an entrepreneur or you're not.
Right.
I think that's the difference.
It's interesting. I never thought I was an entrepreneur until I had a big wake-up call, a tragic experience. And it was kind of like a perfect storm. I didn't know how to make $1. I was not like selling baseball cards. I didn't do the lemonade stand. I didn't try to hustle all this stuff as a kid. I literally maybe made a little bit of money in the summers just because my dad put me to work. And I had this dream of playing professional football. And then I made $250 a week. My dad got in a tragic car accident. He was in a coma for 3 months. I didn't have a college degree. It was 2008. The economy went down. I was living on my sister's couch. She was feeding me. I was making no money. I was living off 3 credit cards with student loans. And I didn't have my dad as that kind of financial safety net anymore because he wasn't able to help me and bail me out. So it was more like, what do I do? No one was hiring people with degrees at that time, even master's degrees. I didn't even get a bachelor's degree yet. And I was just like, how do I survive? So I don't think if the worst thing in my life would have happened, I want to be here learning how to be hungry, how to say, I need to go survive right now and take chances. So I think that perfect storm mentality made me into this survivor creative mindset, willing to risk it all. Whereas if I had my father to kind of protect me financially or say, because he was like, you're going to take over the business, you're going to come work for me. And that was my mindset. When he kind of left emotionally and mentally, he's still alive today, but not the same from the brain trauma. It made me step up as a human being, as a 24-year-old, and say, I got to learn some stuff.
And that's what I say to young people today. Look at this pandemic, this coronavirus pandemic, it's really tragic because it attacks the old guys. Mm-hmm. But even worse is the baby boomers had it the easiest of all generations. But now their pensions are gone, their 401ks are gone.
Yep.
Social Security is broke, Medicare is broke. So I say to younger people, this pandemic, this crisis is the best thing that ever happened to you. You think about that iPhone. You have more power in that iPhone than I had with my Sperry Univac mainframe computer. And then so when I meet people that say, oh, the economy is bad, I said, the only economy is between this ear and that ear. There's an economy out here. But this is the best time for your generation because you're tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy. Mm-hmm. This was made for you guys. The old guys like me are being cleaned out by the pandemic.
Unless you have a lot of assets that are bringing you in cash.
The way is clear for you. Now, the old guys are gone. They're dead.
Right.
What are you going to do about it? So it's really a great time, but exactly as you're talking about, the bad times are leading to the best times.
That's it. Yeah.
If you can see it. But unfortunately, as you know, there's a lot of your generation and younger, they'll never recover.
Yeah.
They're going to see it as the worst of times.
I know. And they're gonna reflect back to this in 5 years and 10 years and say that's the thing that screwed me up or hurt me, and be a victim to it, as opposed to saying, okay, this is happening and how can I make the most of it? And what's it going to take for me to learn a new skill or get more creative or be hungrier in this time?
Or more important, who's your teachers?
Who are you listening to?
Well, that's why I keep saying to the millennials, they're a pack of wimps. I meet millennials who are just horrifyingly weak. Snowflakes, I call them.
Yeah.
They go to college and
Doormats.
they're taught trigger events or whatever. I don't know what they say today, but they've got to have special rooms where there's no whatever. I'm going, holy mackerel. Welcome to the real world, And there's other millennials who are as tough as nails. I mean, this is the biggest opportunity they've ever had.
Huge.
So it just depends upon what's between this year and what's in your heart. That's it.
Yeah. For the what do you think is the next step, the first step or the number one step for the average person with, the kind of the normal job that they might be losing, if they have some debt, they got some credit card. What's the next step for them to not only survive but thrive in this market, in this time?
Well, I always say quit your job. But that's not, I don't have a job. I've only had one job. And I never wanted a job after that because I had to be hungry. Not to say, but we're all different. We're humans, we're different beings. If I show you this diagram here, it's why I created my cash flow board game. Because we have 4 different intelligences. We have mental intelligence. We have, I don't know what that one is, physical intelligence. You probably have very good physical to make, football and all that.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence, but spiritual intelligence. So I went to military school in New York. The first thing is spiritual. I become a Marine. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're putting your life on the frickin' line.
Yeah.
So Nassim Taleb, wrote the book, The Black Swan. He also wrote Anti-Fragile. He says there's 3 kinds of people in the world. There's fragile, and that's what our school systems are putting out. Fragile, wimpy, snowflakes. And that's your choice. You want to be that way? Have a good life. The second type is then, so a fragile is like a champagne flute.
Yep.
You hit it, it shatters. Then the second one is called robust. And a robust person is like the rock. You can pound on them, dump on them.
Yeah.
They take it. But that's all they do. They take it. And then anti-fragile is somebody like you, where they pound the crap out of you, and you get smarter and better because of it. So I love Nassim Taleb. A lot of people call him Dr. Doom. But the way I look at this whole thing, this economy is, we're probably going into a depression. We're not going to get out of this one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so the thing is this good for you or bad for you? I'm looking forward to it. The last crash was 2008, and I made more money in 2008 than in my whole life. So this one here, 2000, what is it, 2020? I'm going to get even richer. But other people are going to get poor. And if they're baby boomers, they're going to blame it on this coronavirus. Oh, my health, hey, hit the road, put on some running shoes, change your diet, get some sunlight, get healthy. Don't be a wimp. But, oh, no, I'm so afraid of dying. I'm going, you're already dead. You don't even know it yet. In the Marine Corps, we used to call them corpse people.
Right. Corpse, not core. Yeah.
A corpseman. No, a corpseman. A corpseman is a person who's dead but doesn't know it.
Wow.
They're so afraid of dying. They're already dead.
Yeah. It's about taking action, taking control of your life, taking control of your health, your finances, everything.
This is the best time to be alive right now.
I did an interview with Dave Ramsey last week, and he said, the last 3 or 4 recessions or down economies, whatever you want to call it, crashes, he said, I made more money during those times than I do in good times. Yeah. So I'm hearing him say that. I'm hearing you say that. How did you make more money then? And how are you planning to turn this into an opportunity to make more money now for you? What are the things, the actual action steps? Is it investing more in the stock market? Is it real estate? Is it buying other assets? What does that look like for you?
Well, no, the lesson is here, you got to choose your teachers wisely. When the market crashed in 2008, guess how much money I borrowed?
A lot.
300 million.
No way. From private investors, the bank, or how does that work?
Because interest rates were dropping and real estate prices were going to the toilet. And when I walk into my banker, this is what Rich Dad Poor Dad about. Rich Dad Poor Dad is about a financial statement. Income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. It's a book on accounting. People don't even know it's a book on accounting. So I walked into my banker with my partner and had all this property that was floating to the surface. And I say, I'll take them off your hands. I just give me the money to buy the property.
Wow.
That's cojones.
300 million.
Give me the money and I'll buy your properties for you.
That's crazy.
So it depends. And this is my whole thing. I'm now 700 million, almost $1 billion in debt.
Really?
You know why? Because I don't pay any taxes. The more debt I have, the less tax I pay. And the average guy goes, how do you do that? Because you have bad teachers. And so it's this whole thing that you got to choose your teachers wisely. That's why I wrote the book, Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. I don't touch that garbage that Wall Street puts out. I don't have a 401k. I don't have stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. Doesn't mean you shouldn't, but I don't need them. Okay?
Right.
And the other part is, look, for you young guys, the best teachers are not in colleges. The best teachers are on YouTube. The best teachers are on YouTube. Wake up. You know, this guy, George Gammon, he's fantastic. Patrick Bet-David, fantastic. You know,
he's great.
Jim Rickards. The fake teachers are in colleges. They're telling you to get a job.
Right.
The corporate ladder. You know, Patrick Bet-David said it the best, and I love that guy. He says there's two kinds of leaders, wartime and peacetime. And a peacetime leader is a guy like my poor dad. He goes through all the right schools. He has all the pedigrees, the credentials. He does all the right things. He climbs the corporate or the government ladder and all that. Well, a wartime leader goes to war. So Steve Jobs is a wartime leader. I'm a wartime leader. Difference is I went to war. I went to war twice on the front lines.
Yeah.
And I changed. What happened? So I joined the Marine Corps. I go to flight school in Pensacola. I learned to fly. I go to Camp Pendleton. I strap on my weapons. I go to advanced weapons in Camp Pendleton. I go to Okinawa, and then they send me into Vietnam. And I came out of Vietnam about 4 months later, back to restage in Okinawa. And I thought everybody had changed. I looked at the fellow Marines, and I thought they were. And it wasn't that they were. I had been to war.
You got tougher. You got stronger.
It's different. When somebody's trying to kill you, every single mission, I went down 3 times.
No way.
Yeah. And I came back stronger and tougher. So I come back to Okinawa. I got like a week off, and they're going to ship me back into Vietnam again. I said, what happened to these guys? And it wasn't that they changed, I changed. So what happens to entrepreneurs who go out and they get their ass handed to them and they survive? If you survive, you see the world differently. And so that's what happened to you when you get injured and all this.
Yeah.
You see a different world. Whereas some peacetime who's climbing the corporate ladder right now, they just lost their job. They're sucking their thumb. You know, this is the worst time for them. Yet for a wartime leader,
they're excited. They're excited about it. Yeah.
It's the best of times.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur right now, the world's open to you. If you're an employee, your world's dead to you.
What advice? Yeah.
An entrepreneur can create their own success.
Yeah. What advice? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a job. They're a peacetime warrior. Remember, watch Patrick Bet-David, you know.
He's great.
Leader, peacetime leader. Which one are you? You know, I mean, no, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the best of times for the wartime guys. Horrible time for peacetime.
Right. And for the people that are the wartime people, what is the best advice you would give them now for the next year, 2 years to capitalize on how do they make more money? How do they make their millions during this time? What would you suggest?
You can't make money now. You should hang it up. I tell all you frickin' millennials, man. You got, I don't know where it is. I got this iPhone. If you can't make money with that, hang it up. You know, like we used to say, hang up the jockstrap. You're not going to make the team. You can't make money with an iPhone through social media, through marketing. You have the world at your fingertips and you can't make money. The problem is between this ear and this ear. It's not out here, it's in here. That's why you've got to choose your teachers wisely.
Yeah.
So let me just say it again. The best teachers are on YouTube. So is the best porno. Make up your mind what you want to listen to. You know what I mean? We have a choice. So I'm just being real to you.
I hear you, man.
No.
I hear you. What's the best investment people can make then to capitalize on this opportunity? Is the investment in education?
Left ear. Look, if you're poor right now, it was called look in the mirror. That's what my dad always said to me. He says, if you're looking in the mirror right now and you see a loser, that's what you are. You can't make money in this economy. You better change your thinking. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say.
Yes.
If you're looking, you don't have any money, you don't have a job, your boyfriend or girlfriend has left you, and then they go, so, well, how did I get here? How did I get here? There was a great book called, Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn. So he gets thrown in a concentration camp or a gulag in Siberia, and he says, "How did I get here?" You know how he got there? Because he was a peacetime leader. Didn't fight back. So people are being sold the bill: go to school, get a job, pay taxes, save money, get out of debt, buy a house. A house is an asset, and invest for the long term in a well-defined portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. And I do none of that.
And why do you recommend the opposite?
Because I don't have to do that crap. That's Kool-Aid. Go to school. What do they teach you about money? Nothing. Get a job. You pay the highest taxes. Pay your taxes. I don't pay taxes. Get out of debt. Well, money is debt after 1971, if you know your history of money. Your house is not an asset. Your house is a liability. And why would I invest for the long term in the stock market when I can make my own assets? I don't need the stock market. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But I create my own assets. I create my own cash flow. Every day I get.
You mean through your business, through your creativity.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Most people are employees. They're looking for jobs. I'm just looking for. So like right now.
Should entrepreneurs invest in the stock market? Do you think if you're entrepreneurial, you should invest in?
Look, find a stupid teacher who's going to tell you what to do.
I'm asking your opinion. I'm curious as a teacher.
I don't give advice. I wouldn't follow Warren Buffett either. You know why? Because he invests the money. Why would I let him invest my money? I want the fun.
So what's the investment you make the most in?
Look, please hear what I'm saying.
Yes.
I made a fortune in 2008. 2020, I'm making more money. I'm paying less taxes. It doesn't mean I don't have problems, but I'm prepared for this. My biggest problem right now is because everybody's taking a vacation. I can't get enough product. I'm selling out. My cash flow game is sold out. It's selling out constantly all over the world. All over the world, I get royalties from my book sales. My book sales are going through the roof right now. So I'm making more money.
Information, yeah.
There's two kinds of discipline. There's internal or self-discipline, and then there's external discipline. So right now, if the world's kicking your butt, that's external discipline. And if you're self-disciplined, the world's kissing your butt right now. It's up to you. So that's why I love the Marine Corps. That's why I love going to military school and not a university, because I got my ass kicked every single frickin' day. The first word I had to learn at the academy: mission. Mission is spiritual. What's your mission? And my mission has always been to serve people. Most people, all they give a fuck is making money and screwing people. That's called the Federal Reserve Bank, Wall Street, and all that. I want nothing to do with them. So I just don't play their game. But you have to get smarter not to play their game. So that's why YouTube has the best teachers. This guy, George Gammon, man, he's a great teacher. Patrick Beck-David, fantastic teacher. Cardone, fantastic teachers. So choose your teachers wisely.
Before we continue this video, make sure to subscribe below and turn on the notification bell right now so you don't miss out on these great videos every single day.
Sarah, you've had one idea that you've stuck with for 15 or 18 years with Spanx, and you create new ideas within the one idea.
I do, which is just a different model. I shared with Jesse, and he knows this. I have other ideas. So I have 99 pages, single space typed of ideas. And I email them to me myself the minute I have them. And it's 99 pages right now, which is just funny. My assistant keeps going, have you run out? Like, can we hit 100 pages? But I end up it's so much more important to me instead of actioning on them instantly. It's more important to me to not lose them. I think an idea is a gift from the universe, and I cannot take for granted that I might forget it. So the second I have it, I email it to myself. I used to keep it in notebooks, but now I do email, and they're there, and then I revisit them, and then they will come out. Like my belly art book had nothing to do with Spanx, and that was an idea that was on that 99 pages, and some of them will knock on the door enough that I'll say I'm going to find the extra time to make them happen.
How many ideas do you think that is on 99 pages? Is that 1,000? Is that 10,000? Is that 500? What is that range, do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know, but you know, it's interesting because we're both entrepreneurs with completely different styles. So Sarah's really good. We're both very ADD. Sarah's very good at staying on one thing, saying no to stuff, monotasking, being single focused. And I like to operate in a completely different style. I need a lot of balls in the air at once. I need to bounce around from one thing to another. It's just the way I operate. I operate better with more balls in the air. So everybody has their own style. And over time, you figure out what it is that works the best. But, you know, Sarah's really disciplined. She's very disciplined. And she looks at things through a unique lens. It's always customer first. It's always focused on value. It's always focused on, she goes right to the story and how she can articulate this to the customer. And I'm ready, fire, aim. I'm like, I got to start before anybody else starts, and I'm going to figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
Just different styles.
Yeah. I mean, are you friends with Buffett, Sarah?
Yes.
Isn't he the guy who said the quote, like, successful people and really successful people do things a little bit differently? They say no more than successful people, or something like that.
Yeah. It's funny, when we were talking, his quote came to my mind, but there is a Warren Buffett quote that says, you know, the most successful people in life have one thing in common, their ability to say no.
And you say no a lot.
To many things. I have to. But it doesn't mean that, you know, another style of creating things in the world is any less. It's just, it's interesting. I am very disciplined in what I focus on.
I'm kind of like, I'd probably say I'm in between both of you. Like,
really?
for me, like, I want to create stuff all the time and launch something quickly and put it out there. But then I'm also like, well, you can't truly build something, an empire and something magical for the long term, if you're just jumping from one thing to the next. Whereas you have been disciplined for decades on building this global brand that just is so inspiring. and both are fun. It's like, but you get to create your creative expression over here, the Jesse style, but you get to create something magical, you know, that stands. So.
Well, it's just, the two ways to look at it is, I also look at Jesse's life as so magical because, because literally I'm like, honey, you became top of the field in rap. He was like on MTV and, you know, had hits in the top whatever. And then he went from that to a jet company and did really well, which is so different than rap music. And then he goes from jets to coconut water and is really successful there. And now, you know, and now he's an author and he's a motivational speaker. So to me, like, that's really fascinating that he's been able. It's very unique to find someone it's not that hard to find people who've jumped from sector to sector to sector. It's hard to find people who've mastered or kind of been top of the game in all those different ones. So I always look at him and think, oh my gosh, that's really makes for a colorful life. Like I've been plotting along on my own journey, but
You're doing quite fine, sweetie.
but he's got a million
colorful
stories
life.
to tell.
He does have a million stories, but you got it. You got it.
When I was starting out in business, my philosophy was say yes to everything, because
That's so interesting.
Well, it is, because it was laughing at jokes that aren't funny, going to every no, listen. It was it was I had nothing.
Show up to every meeting.
I had to build a network. I had to get out there. I had to be someone that I wanted an invitation to everything. I'm serious, because I didn't have the resources. So for me, I had to say yes to everything. If there was an event, I'm going, because there could be a buyer. There could be someone that a connection. If there was a basketball game, I'm going. I don't know who's going to be in the audience. So it was yes, 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 yes. When you get married and you have kids and you evolve, your system has to evolve with it. So what worked for me when I was 20 years old, I had dinner when I was at 11 o'clock at night in New York City. Now we have dinner at 5:30 at night. As you evolve, your system has to evolve. So I have said, I am starting to say no to things. And, I have a very simple test, Louis, and for friends and for business. I want low aggravation for the highest reward, like everybody else. When I'm young, I'm willing to go high aggravation for high reward. But now that reward isn't worth it. So I want low aggravation. So
I'm curious. Jesse, I'll let you start with this. I'm going to ask you guys both a question. Jesse, what's the thing you're most proud of about Sarah that she probably doesn't know about? And I feel like you tell her all the time and you guys talk all the time about everything, but what's the thing that maybe you don't tell her enough, or that you're really proud of that she maybe doesn't think is a big deal, but you do?
The way she uses her success, her wealth and her success is unbelievably inspiring. And not just the philanthropy that she does, and she does a lot of that in behind the scenes that no one knows about, that I know about, and in front of the scenes, but just how she treats her friends and her family and me and her kids. And it's inspiring, man. It's actually unbelievable. So she's very selfless and very, she puts herself second, and that's a great quality. And especially because no one, when you come into wealth or success, no one teaches you how to do it. It's like we weren't born.
There's no model.
My dad owned a plumbing supply house. I was like, we never talked about anything about that. And she's just intuitively just figured out how to do it. She's been joined the Giving Pledge and all the stuff she's done. It's just unbelievable. And it's not stop.
Where does that come from, Sarah, and you to, again, you were selling, I think it was fax machines door to door for 5 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. You didn't have tons of money. And then you became, extremely wealthy with owning this business and building this successful brand for 15 plus years. Where does that generosity come from at such a high level when everyone wants a donation? Everyone wants your time. Everyone wants you to coach them. Everyone wants you to speak, interview you. Everyone wants you. You've got a husband. You've got 4 incredible kids. You've got all your friends, your family. Everyone is expecting more from you. How do you stay humble through all of that?
Gratitude. I'm so anchored in gratitude. I feel grateful that I am a woman in this country, born at the right time. I've talked about that a lot. And I feel that when you stay anchored in gratitude for what you have and what you've been able to accomplish, it can't do anything but keep you humble. I mean, there's no reason to be any different. I really believe that. And I've said it before. I think money just makes you more of who you already were. Mm-hmm. So if you were a jerk, you become a bigger jerk. If you were kind, you become kinder. If you were generous, you become more generous. I can also mention that I've never been doing this for the money, So the money has been a byproduct of following a passion. I did want independence as a woman. So that was important to me. I didn't want to be financially dependent on anyone. But beyond that, it wasn't like, I'm not driven by material success, really. I like experiences and I like, things that can help me spend more time with the people I love. But I think that also made it easier for me not to get completely wholly consumed by the sparkle of it all. Mm-hmm. Because it was never really about the sparkle on, on like the shiny new car and all of that for me.
Yeah.
I have an inside look into Sarah's lifestyle. It's fascinating, as an entrepreneur, watching as a marketer. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. But her decision making is so unique. And for most of us, we make decisions based on, as entrepreneurs, ROI, return on investment. And for 99.9% of the listeners, that's the bottom line. ROI is I put this much money in, I get this much money out. She looks at ROI through a completely different lens. It's ROI. It's not really the bottom line. I mean, of course it's factored in. It's experiences. It's how I treat people. Yeah. ROI could be the gift she gives to our kids in the form of cooking dinner every night. Her ROI.
Her special pancakes.
No, but if you look at your return on investment across a bigger platform than just what we normally look at, and that's her lens. So I think it's really interesting.
You talk about this, Louis, but there's pillars in life, right? So there's different kinds of success. And so there's monetary success. That's one bucket of your life. There's success in your friendships and your relationships. There's success in how you are and behave in the community and what you're contributing. There's success in, are you healthy and strong? And do you take time to, eat the right things and work out? And so I've kind of always had all of those pillars in my mind also. And I think it's easy for people to get so singularly focused in one pillar, and that makes their whole life off kilter.
I think one more thing I'll add, Liz.
Go ahead, bring it.
I think that's a really, listen,
bring it. It's good. I love it.
It's a really good point because, success to me, and everyone has a different definition of success. But when I look at success, it's being good in multiple buckets, like Sarah just said. Yeah. Success, like when I was a kid, I remember going into meetings and I would sit and I'd be in awe of these people that had so much wealth that I was trying to do. I was a young kid, 23, 24, sitting in boardroom meetings. And as I got older, those superheroes, my superheroes, some of them turned out to be unbelievably amazing humans, but others, I started looking at them, it's like, man, you're just rich.
Yeah,
I don't like
the way. Nice person. Yeah.
Right. So success it's being good in multiple buckets, and that's where we put our energy. Yeah. We try to be good parents, and we got plenty of flaws, man. We try to be good parents. We try to be good husbands and wives, good kids. Both of our parents are both alive, so investing in time with them, and it's exhausting, man, because there's so many buckets as you get older.
This is what I want to ask you about the question about energy. And you have financial abundance, right? Financial stability, but you still have 4 kids. You still have hundreds or thousands of employees and people counting on you, people asking questions all the time, people wanting from you. And you'd have all the help in the world. You could have all the tutors and nannies and cooks or whatever it may be, but still it consumes so much energy of your time, your thoughts, and your attention. How do you guys manage energy? Because I don't have kids. I've got a passionate Latina, which is a lot of energy I've got to have, but it's like, I've got a small team. You've got a big team. And it's exhausting for me sometimes. So how do you guys manage energy? Like you said,
you have to really think, prioritize, delegate what you can, and let it go and not be too mentally hard on yourself. And as your bubble grows, you invest the time in hiring your weaknesses. So where are your weaknesses, and find the best talent, invest in the talent. And, if you put the right people in place in certain areas, then it will free you up to be able to prioritize your time. And then you have to take the time to do that. Like, even though I have this leader in place, what is the most important thing for me to be focusing on for Spanx? Even though I may or may not have a nanny, what is the most important thing for me to be doing with my children? What's important to me? And I sat down with Jesse and we wrote out like what's important for us to be, what is the quality time that we want to have with our children. And just being intentional about those buckets will really help you figure out energy and how to use it and how to make it go farther.
I would add, I think 3 things. I think we've spoken about this in the past, Louis, many times. I think the most important thing is to really be present and be where your feet are. Yes. So if we're with our kids, we're with our kids. If Sarah's at work, and I don't want Sarah to be guilty or resent me you know, for when she's at work. When she's at work, she's at work, and it's fine. When she's with the kids, she's with the kids. You got to be where your feet are. So we communicate about that. Today I had to do something for 2 hours. I said, I let her know I need 2 hours alone. She was like, no problem, because I didn't want to feel guilty and I don't want her to resent me. So we communicate that, but you got to be mega present. 2, you go in and out of waves. So like we went on a trip to Poland with 10 friends, brothers, best friends overnight best friends. If I don't speak to the guys for 6 months, I'm not going to beat myself up. The relationship's still there. So you have to trust the seeds and know that that you've planted, and know when it's time for me to jump back into that group of 10, I'm going to be present and everything's going to be, but you can't beat yourself up that your energy is pulling you somewhere else. That time will come back, you know? And 3 is you got to plan. You can't we're not good enough to just wake up and wing it. We plan stuff, man. No, we plan stuff. Like I plan that I'm going to see my parents a certain amount of times a year. Then I'm going to go on a certain amount of trips, one-on-one trips with my kids. We go away once a quarter. We plan a trip, alone time. We have date night every Wednesday. I might not see Sarah every single day, every minute of the day during work, but we know Wednesday nights we're having date night. We know we have our family dinners. We know the weekends is our time. So you have to plan. Otherwise you start to spiral. And when you spiral, it's hard to get out of it.
It's really hard, especially if you're in quarantine. I heard an interview that Oprah did years ago about, I'm going to butcher this, but she essentially said at one point she made a decision in her life to throw a big dinner and bring all of her friends and family who've been asking her for money and stuff for years. Oh. And she threw this big party, huge dinner, threw it the best food, and gave away cash and cars and gifts and said, I'm bringing you all here. I'm giving you the last thing I'm going to give you. Because I assume for years, people just kept asking for more and more, and they were never happy and they're never satisfied. This is the general concept. I might be butchering it. How do you guys manage the expectations of friends, family, people that are just on social media that ask you for things? How do you manage the energy of people getting angry or upset or getting hurt if you don't do something for them when they think you should or could? Do you guys face that at all?
All the time. It's a great question. I mean, first of all, I don't get angry at anyone's reaction. Very time when people ask for something, you're put in a lose-lose situation. I remember my mother told me, when I was growing up, to never lend people money for a lot of different reasons.
You'll be let down.
You'll be let down, and why do I have to pay them back? They don't need the money. Or if you do pay them, there's all kinds of guilt and resentment. So, one way to handle this is you can give people money and just say, this is a gift, not a loan. But it's really case by case. It's really case by case and situational. And, but I'm not going to lie, man, it is challenging. It is challenging.
And how do you know when someone is truly a friend or versus someone who's always reaches out every year for something, monetarily, let's say?
I don't feel like we have that much issue with that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't know how you feel about it, but I think, it feels very obvious to us who's a friend and who's maybe someone who's more of an opportunist, but we live our life in such a way that we're not in the situations very often that we're put in these positions. And I stay very true to my core mission, again, with my foundation, which is elevating women and supporting women. So it gives me an opportunity to explain or have my team explain why the funds don't make sense to go there, and that we'd love to support everyone and everything, but you have to pick a lane. And in order to be effective or possibly make an impact in that lane, you have to give yourself permission again to say no to everything else that isn't in that lane. So that's been very helpful.
Yeah. Having that structure and organization and that explanation makes sense.
If you're looking to become rich, then check out this video about the 7 things poor people do that the rich don't do.
The difference between them and other people is their sequencing. If my order of steps I take to go here isn't as efficient as yours because your sequencing is better, you're going to get there faster than I am.